had very kind words to say about this backpacker with tattered chappals who's now become a historian. Um, it's not the fact that he's writing books. Everyone is free. It's a free country. You can write whatever trash you want. But the fact of the matter is that recently he was insinuating that only after the wrecks that he saw about the Kalinga War and the devastation that had happened, Ashoka converted or resorted to Buddhism. Without telling the fact, as has been told by Indian historians, especially Sanjeev Sanyal in his monumental book, that Ashoka was already a Buddhist 4 years before he undertook the Kalinga War. This is the sort of misinformation that we've been fed, not just by people who, and Dalrymple has come up with great phrases, I have to say, but the best phrase that has ever been come up is actually to describe Dalrymple. He's been called a giant seal in a kaftan. Nothing more encapsulates Dalrymple than that. The fact of the matter is that such blatant lies have been fed to us for 70 years that I think the time has come to stop blaming the historians and start blaming the politicians. I'm absolutely fed up that we draw the line at some charlatan or some guy who's resorted to writing books on history, or what has been happening with our leftist quack historians. Most of them unfortunately belong to the university where both of us come from. I think we have to draw the line, because the problem is not the books. Out of every 100 books that are written, 90 are trashy. So does that mean that we should ban them? No, left does that. In fact, Dalrymple was the one at the forefront of cancelling the books that he didn't like. A very famous example happened 2 years ago. No, I think let's stop blaming historians. I firmly believe change happens from the top down. Awakening might happen from the bottom up. But what use is awakening if you are impotent? What is the point of being woken up by having your shoulders shaken? Wake up, this is happening, and you find you can't do anything. So let me give you 4 examples very quickly, keeping the time. Let me do a lot of quoting out here, lest I may be liable to defamation, but thankfully Jay Sai is on the thing, so he'll save me yet again. Last time he only took kachori as a fee. I don't know, maybe idlis this time round. Quote, remembering Maulana Azad on his birth anniversary, he is widely admired for his scholarly nature and intellectual prowess. He remained at the forefront of our freedom movement, working closely with other leading lights, promoting unity and brotherhood. Unquote. This is a quote by Narendra Modi. Now let me quote Maulana Azad. Quote, be extremely hard against kafirs, but extremely kind amongst ourselves, unquote. All relationships in the world can break down. Father can turn against son, brother against brother, mother can shun her child, but the relationship of a Muslim with a Muslim can never be severed, unquote Maulana Azad. I think we are tired of virtue signaling and political correctness. We are tired of blaming people who resort to writing trash about history. Change has to come from top down. And if the topmost person believes this to be the true facet of our history and what is to be taught in our schools, eulogize these people, then I don't think there is any redemption for this country. Quote, met Muslim community delegation. I presented the sacred chadar, which will be placed during the urs of the beloved Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti at the esteemed Ajmer Sharif Dargah, unquote, Narendra Modi. Quote, I will raise these Ansagar Hindu temples to the ground. I have come to India to fight the holy war against infidels, unquote, Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti. The Hanafi Sufi saint who fought alongside the demonic Gauri helped capture Prithviraj and unsparingly converted Hindus. Quote, best wishes to my sisters and brothers of Goa on the day of the feast of Saint Francis Xavier. May this occasion further the spirit of harmony and brotherhood in our society, unquote, by Narendra Modi. Quote, Hindu gods and their idols are as dirty as they are ugly and horrible to look at. Witnessing the destruction of temples and idols gives me so much joy, unquote, Saint Francis Xavier. the chief architect of the Goa Inquisition that led to the conversion, torture, and murder of countless Hindus. Keeping time, I shall allow these quotes to simmer in and kind of go inside your brains and think whether what is it we want for our future generation. To be disallowed, to be able to discern what is a good book or a bad book, or to be able to discern who is a good leader and a leader that is leading us astray by eulogizing the people whose truth should come out. Thank you.
Thank you. Vande Mataram, Jai Shri Ram. Each time you try to present something about your history, the first thing that is missing is empathy, and the first thing that is present is judgment. I don't care for what others think, and this is the sentiment from the Hindu community. So Anand blames politicians, I am blaming the Hindu community. No other community, when presented with this kind of horrendous genocidal massacres that it has survived, reacts with this kind of judgment towards its own ancestors. They were defeated because they were cowards. They were defeated because they lacked Kshatriya spirit. They were defeated because they were divided. They were defeated because they were casteist. They were defeated because they were patriarchal. You can't find nothing positive about your people? What is the point of history if it doesn't take you closer to your people? What is the point of it? If history is meant to be another weapon or a stick that you use to settle scores on social media, burn it. It has no purpose according to me then. If the point is to settle, let's say, debates on social media or in friend circles or to massage your own bloated egos, what is the point of it? How are you remotely doing justice to all the efforts that Dr. Jain has just pointed out? If people shed their blood, their lives, their women, their children, their men, everybody under the sun to protect the Murti, and hundreds of years later, today we have a debate within the Hindu community whether we should take back all the occupied sites. Why should you read history if this is your reaction after becoming aware of the kind of the trouble that we've gone through to recover one place? So what is this about? So is history your weapon to beat the Congress? Is history your weapon to beat the left? Is history a weapon to beat your friend who's a leftist or a Marxist or a communist? Is history a weapon to go closer to your ancestors? Where is the sense of empathy in trying to understand your own people? That is the curse of Indian historiography today. Our reasons for wanting to set right history are fundamentally wrong. Why do you want it in the first place? The opening video that was going on when we sat here, I'm sorry to say this, I mean no disrespect, I found it very difficult to sit through that video. To reduce the sacrifices and the troubles of your ancestors to mere cliches and stereotypes is not done. And the worst part of our history is that it is not in the past, it is a continuing present. The challenges of the past continue today. Perhaps if you were a geographically isolated, let's say, region, so to speak, you can still afford to look at your past with a sense of, let's say, archival sense, in the sense you can look at it, hua tha. So I need to understand in an academic sense, kya hua tha. Everything that has happened is repeating itself. Kal chakra phir se wahin pe aake khada ho chuka hai. The 1920s, according to me, are no different from the 2020s. The only question that I've been constantly asking myself is, at least at this juncture, will we take the right decision instead of making the mistakes of the past? And therefore, when I look at history, I'm blunt about the fact that I'm looking at weaponizing the Hindu mind. I'm absolutely blunt about it from a societal perspective. If you still don't know how to look out for your interest, you deserve everything that you have suffered and everything that will come your way if you don't learn from it. Somebody has to say this. The politician will not. Somebody else has to say this. I'm the last person as a lawyer to discount the importance of power. I'm the last person to say in the larger picture, in the big picture, in the calculus, it doesn't matter. 100% it matters. This congregation has been made possible because of the change from 2014. Let's admit that. But 2014 was made possible because there was a society yearning. Let's admit that as well. The verdict of 9th of November 2019 was made possible because of 496 years of Jaddojahed. By generations of people who did not know whether they'd be remembered or not. Lawyers will get their visibility. Judges will get their visibility. Who is going to talk of the Nihangs and everybody else who fought for 400 years? There was a time when both these communities were fighting together to protect the Kshetra. Can you say the same thing about Punjab of today? Too uncomfortable a fact? Therefore, history is important for Bharat. I don't care whether history is important for anybody else or not. It's extremely crucial for Bharat. Now let me just share a few points based on what Swapanda pointed out. When he quotes Dalrymple's position on Ashoka being half Greek, why is it that there is this dying need on the part of this white man to look for everything that is white, even in Bharat's history? So there's a fantastic book of Thomas Troutman. You should read it. It's a series of books that he's written on the Aryan invasion theory, its origins. You will never be able to understand the caste debate without understanding the history of Aryan invasion theory and vice versa. Remember that. When you're reading Indian history, that is the thumb rule. So when these people come to this country, they're like, we have colonized so many places. It's like the juggernaut of the Australian team finally being defeated in Calcutta. It comes here, and then it's asked, these guys are boggled. This fellow is black. He is an idol worshipper. He's a polytheist. And still he's culturally and spiritually superior to us. That question is repeated over and over again in their personal correspondence because they're hoping to find a fully inferior civilization, which is a defeated civilization. But a defeated civilization is not necessarily an inferior civilization. That is the realization that leads them to the point. If they are superior in some way, then that superiority must be traced back to us. And hence starts the reverse engineering of Indian history by bringing in the Aryan angle that everything that white stands for victory, and therefore at some point some fellow who was white would have come here, inseminated the blood here, and from there these guys must have become victorious. That is this dying need. So around that period they had something called the Tree of Civilization. The Tree of Civilization is the mapping of different civilizations based on their superiority and inferiority, which they had mapped for themselves, and who you think would be at the top of that particular pecking order. It has to be the white man. How is this entire thing worked out? Language becomes the basis for understanding somebody's race. Their inability to wrap their heads around Sanskrit leads to the conclusion that Sanskrit must necessarily be a white contribution and therefore an Aryan contribution. And from there starts the analysis of the Aryan invasion theory. We continue to spew this nonsense in today's Dravidinist politics in the South. This is literally, pun intended, the Bible of the Dravidinists. Because this is what they swear by when they push their agenda of Brahmin versus non-Brahmin, therefore Aryan versus non-Aryan and Dravidian, therefore North Indian versus South Indian. I say this, I've said this before. Separatism of Kashmir at least openly wore the Kalashnikov on its sleeve. Dravidianism uses social justice as a weapon, which is much more dangerous than AK-47, not because I have a problem with the concept of social justice, but anti-Hinduism and anti-Bharatiism is packaged in the fantastic label of social justice warriorship. So my suggestion would be, try to use these platforms as moments of creating more actual, practical, weaponizable scholarship, as opposed to creating cults, around anybody. If you're truly a land of seekers, then seek the truth and have the guts to present the truth regardless of who is in power. If you choose not to do that, to quote the adage of the colonizer, you're being penny wise and pound foolish. And in the long run, forget the long run. In the next 25-year cycle, which is supposed to be the touted Amrit Kal, you will see everything that transpired in 1924 leading to 1947 repeat itself. I have no interest in burnishing my secular credentials under any circumstances, regardless of who is in the audience. I'm more interested in securing the safety of my people, and my people are the Hindus, period. If you don't operate with that sense of realism, बेचते रहिए सर्वधर्म वड़ा पाव भाजी. Thank you.